Hello and welcome to today's program, Instagram Marketing Fundamentals for Beginners. This webinar is being presented by Brooke Miles, founder and owner of Delaware Shoutout, a social media marketing agency. With a strong background in sales, account management, and business development across a variety of industries, Brooke helps busy entrepreneurs with a stress-free approach to social media that can deliver gains in followers, engagement, and website traffic. Thank you, Brooke, for sharing your experience today on Instagram. This has been long awaited for here at SCORE, and I trust all the viewers will find it informative and helpful. Next slide. My name is Maria Smith, and I'm a volunteer with SCORE of Chester and Delaware counties. SCORE is a nonprofit organization that has been in existence for over 50 years and is a resource partner of the Small Business Administration. SCORE's mission is to foster a strong business community by providing free mentorship and business education. We're here to support you and help you grow your business. Here in Chester and Delaware counties, we have 100 volunteers ready to help. Our mentoring and most of our educational programs are free. You will find many tools, templates, and other business resources on our website resource library. Next slide, please. Today's program is scheduled for, you can click through all the bullets there.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
How many bullets are there?
I think there's 2 more.
Oh, nope.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Okay, here we go. Today's program is 1.5 hours, scheduled till 11:30. Apologies, I think there was a reminder notice that went out the other day that may have suggested an 11 o'clock time, but your registration hopefully told you the correct time. We get a lot of questions and there is a lot of content to cover in any of our social media programs, so we need a little extra time. The presentation is being recorded and will be made available to you today after today's session. So whether you see all of it or just some of it, you'll have time to go and review it or to look over anything that you missed. You all have been placed on mute so that we can avoid distractions. Please ask your questions in the Q&A box and we will take breaks to answer them. If you have comments or other information to share, you can use the chat box. So we welcome Brooke Miles, our presenter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for joining us on this. This is, we're going to be covering a lot of information on the key marketing fundamentals that you need to know to really rock it on Instagram. And here's everything we're going to be covering, and it's a lot. So first of all, how to optimize your static content. And static content is basically what appears on your Instagram account or your Instagram page when people visit you, regardless of the posts, okay? Because you always want to make a really good first impression. We're also going to talk about how to create a look for your page that really supports your brand, how to choose the best content, how to craft captions that grab your audience's attention, and obviously how to post images that stand out in the newsfeed. So between the captions and the images, how do you, get people to, pay attention to you and your brand? How to use hashtags and geotags to boost visibility. I always get questions, especially about hashtags. So we'll cover that. How to start using video for an extra wow factor, and also how to integrate Instagram. That's hard to say, integrate Instagram with all of your other social media. Because what I don't want you to do is treat Instagram as like its own little silo where you do your other social media and then stop everything to do Instagram and then come back. It really should all flow together, because if you're anything like with me, which I'm sure you are, you're very busy and you have a million things to do. So anything we can do to streamline the process, but help you get as much out of Instagram as possible, I want to make sure we do that. And to reiterate Maria's point, please feel free to ask questions in chat and Q&A. I will continue to, I'll look at the chat and Q&A when I can. Maria will also be there to check it and interrupt me as I present, not interrupt, but you know what I mean, gently nudge me and let me know about questions and comments coming in too. So please feel free. I want to make this as interactive as possible. And this workshop is, even if you just have like the most bare bones page, like as long as you have a page already set up in some fashion, we're going to use that as the starting point for mastering the fundamentals. And I have to tell you that I am really big on the fundamentals of marketing, because oftentimes what happens is, for example, I'm sure you've heard about Instagram Reels, okay, and Instagram Reels, those are like the shorter form videos that are vertical in format, and it's like, for me, that's part of the bells and whistles of Instagram, okay, but that's not a strategy. The strategy is how to create a great first impression and get into your audience's mind, and how to deliver content in the right way, such that people are impressed by what you have to share, they want to follow you, and also Instagram notices you and delivers your posts to more news feeds. Those are the fundamentals, and that's what we're focusing on today, because the bells and whistles aren't the magic bullets, okay? They help you, but you have to get the basics first. Oh, okay. So first, we're going to talk about optimizing your static content. And some of these things you probably have already done, but I just want to make sure that you are all set up with this, because a lot of times when I work with businesses, I do find there are some pieces missing here. So we're going to be thorough. So if you're on when you're on your phone on Instagram, a lot of things, actually everything I'm going to share with you, you can do by clicking on the edit profile button on your, when you're on your page on Instagram. You can also do a lot of these things that I'm going to share with you on desktop on Instagram, on Instagram.com, but not all of it. I'm old, so I prefer doing things on my computer, but I can't always do everything on my computer. Okay, so so the first thing we're going to do is make sure your username is the name of your company. I know this seems really, some of this may be obvious to some of you, but I've seen this happen. So make sure it's the name of your company and not your name per se. Okay, so how would people look you up? Okay, your profile picture is typically your logo, and make sure it's optimized. In other words, make sure the whole logo shows, make sure that it's not pixelated. And, if it turns out that it's not quite working, it's really worth the extra 5 or 10 minutes to get it right. Because this is the impression, because people are going to be looking at that logo. It's one of the first things they're going to see, if not the first thing they're going to see when they open your page. Now, if you are your brand, like you're a realtor, you're a life coach, you're someone, where your personal brand is your professional, is your company brand, you could put your headshot there. Okay. So there is a little bit of leeway there, but again, just make sure it's crisp and it fits in the space. So, okay, so I was just quickly checking the chat, and it looks like Maria's covered all of that. So thank you, Maria. Okay, also, now we talked about the username up above where your company name is all smushed together in one. Now down here where the arrow is, that's just your name, okay? That's typically the name of your business, like with spaces and capitalization and the whole thing, like, what is your business name on a business form? Okay, that's what it is. But again, if you are your brand, you do have some leeway here, and you could put your name there if you feel that people are more likely to look up your business by your first and last name rather than your company name. So always think about how people would search for you on Instagram. Business category, you can also add that on the phone version of Instagram, but I don't believe you can do that on desktop last time I checked. So make sure your business category is there too, though there's a pretty decent size list. Now the bio, it is worth spending time to get this right. And I will tell you that I have tweaked this, my bio over and over again, because people are going to read this. You only get 150 characters to share a lot of information. You want to explain what you do, who you do it for, and why someone should buy from you or come to you versus anyone else in 150 characters. So what I have here is we help you create a small biz social media program. So social media program is the what. Small biz already implies that it's for small business owners. And then the why is because if you want to get results and you want to be proud of those results, that's the why right there. There's also another what right here, the one-on-one strategy. Use emojis when you can. You'll see that I have a couple bullet points listed. the one-on-one strategy and watch our latest video here. And the fashion lately, which I kind of like, is make your bullet points different emojis that relate to the different things in your list. And I think that's pretty cool. And what you want to do with this downward arrow, where mine, it says watch our latest video here. Typically, you're going to have a downward arrow that points to your website. For me, I've been building my YouTube channel, and it's actually important for me for people to go there because there are just so many resources there for free. So I always just put my latest video there. So that's what I have. But for most of you, it's going to be your website. But the key is have a downward arrow emoji and then have a call to action. You always want to do something like that. And now, the other option besides a website is using something called Linktree. I'm sure some of you have heard of Linktree already. And Linktree is, let's say you have multiple places you want people to go. Maybe you have a website, maybe you have a blog that's separate from your website, maybe you have a YouTube channel, maybe you have you want to have your other social media sites listed. You could use Linktree, which is a free service, or it starts out free, where you can, people click on the Linktree link and then it goes to your own Linktree page where you have multiple links of where people can go. I'm not 100%. I'm sharing this only because a lot of people like it. I'm not a fan of it, and I'm just going to share my blunt opinion, because the more choices you give people, the less likely they are to do anything. So I'd rather them just I just want them to decide whether or not they're going to click on my one link, rather than, okay, I'm going to click on this link. Now I have to go have all these other links. What do I do first? Just the simpler you can make the person's journey in their interaction with you, the easier it is for them to become a customer. Just that is a flat out marketing concept. And I think Linktree muddles that a little bit. But again, I'm sharing this because some people insist on it. So I'm doing that. Also in your bio area, you can also include where you're from or where you're based down here, so that you don't have to put it higher up. Okay. In other words, the Newark, Delaware that you see in blue is not counted as one of the 150 characters, because it's like a separate field that you're filling out. So if you fill out that, you don't have to put the stuff up top. So because 150 characters goes by really, really quickly. Okay, let's see what we have. And again, if you have questions, please let me know. Okay. One thing we're not going to spend as much time on, but I want to, because it's not as basic, but I want to make sure we cover it in the static content section of this webinar today, is stories highlights. So stories highlights are, if you visit someone's Instagram page and you see a whole bunch of circles at the bottom. I just have one circle because that's all I want. I just want one circle, but some people have a whole row of circles. Okay. Those are called stories highlights. And think of these circles as, when you visit someone's website and there's a navigation bar at the top, and one says maybe about, and one says testimonials, and one says services, and, like the categories. Think of these circles on Instagram as your opportunity to share information on different categories of your business, or different things you want people to think about. And basically, so you can have like individual images or videos kind of piled on top of each other within each circle as they relate to each category. So examples of what you can put in each circle or each story highlight, you can have one that's just on your products, or one just on your services, or maybe there are projects you're working on. You can have one circle just on testimonials. I will say, if I add an extra circle, it's going to be testimonials, because I already have a bunch. I just need to put them in picture form. You can have a circle where you just have photos or videos of your team. Okay. It could be frequently asked questions. It could be tutorials. So, but again, each of these are individual circles. So I just wanted to bring that up, but I don't think that it should be a priority for you in developing your Instagram presence. Is it helpful? Yes. Not a priority though. Okay. So now let's talk about how to create a look on your page that really supports your brand. And what you want to do is determine your look and stick with it. Okay. So what you see on the left-hand side, those are my brand colors. So when my logo was developed, my graphic designer, sent me also the colors and the font that was used. And I was like, okay, that's nice, but I'm so glad he did that because it turns out I needed it for a lot of things. So that was 8 years ago. But anyway, so make sure that you have the same type of, you use the same general color palette for everything. Lately, my posts have been digressing a little bit from that on Instagram, but you'll always see accents of those colors. Make sure you're using the same font for everything, or the same couple fonts, okay, for everything. If you're going to use a filter, and a filter is where, if you haven't used it yet, you have a photo, and then maybe the photo ends up can have a certain look to it that has a certain theme, like maybe it ends up looking very old-timey, or it can be turned into black and white or whatever. But if you're going to use a filter, just use one, don't use multiple, because what you want people to do is when they visit your page a few times, or see your post a few times, you want them to have a look in their mind, a consistent look in their mind. So when they see that look, they automatically think of you. So Kay asks, how do you control those circles at the bottom of your profile? I have a bunch of circles and I never created them. Oh, wow. Okay. So you are able to, on your phone, just a second, let me go to my profile here. Just a second. Bear with me. Okay. Okay. If you click on one of the circles, and then you click on, just a second, you click on one of the circles, and then there's a ... more at the very bottom right corner. And by the way, a lot of times our interfaces are different. It's really crazy, but mine has a ... more in the bottom right corner. Once I click on it, once you do that, you'll be able to click on remove from highlight. You can click on remove from highlight. And then you could just remove all of them and the whole thing will go. You can also edit the highlights too. But I might recommend just, if you just want to kind of start from scratch, you can do that too. So hopefully that helps. Thank you, Kay. That was a really good question. I appreciate that. So regarding the having a consistent look, here are 3 different pages. Okay, mine's in the middle because I actually had a hard time finding 3 examples. So I had to put mine in there. I really didn't want to, but on the left-hand side, this is Trolley Square Market. It's in downtown Wilmington, Delaware. And you'll see they have like this like black and white and gray with some green accents, like slight colorful accents, but you can see that there is a certain theme going on with their page, which is really great. And then on the right hand side, Ingrid Blackburn is an artist that I know in in North Carolina, excuse me. And she definitely has a certain look to her page as well. So these are examples where you just automatically think of certain colors and already think of a certain feel, and that really supports. That's going to support your brand, definitely. So always think about that. Okay, so now how do we publish? How do we find content that people want to, that people are going to engage with? Because if you're going to spend the time creating a post, you want people to notice it and actually comment, and heart it and everything. Okay, so first of all, let me tell you something. The Instagram algorithm generally favors content with higher engagement rates. Okay. So first of all, when I say favors content, in other words, when you put a post out there, and by the way, this could be on Instagram, this could be on Facebook, this could be on LinkedIn, it could be on Twitter. Basically, all of these sites decide how many of your followers or the people who like your page will ultimately get that post in their newsfeed, because there's so many posts going out that what they're trying to do is create a really good experience for the users of those social media platforms. So Instagram, for example, they want to keep people on Instagram. And the way to do that is to try to predict which posts their users are going to want to see most. So what Instagram likes to do is they'll look at Instagram accounts where the engagement rates tend to be higher. In other words, even if let's say you had 100, you just have 100 followers, you're like, oh no, this isn't good. But let's say 20% of your followers engage with your posts, that's an incredibly high engagement rate, in which case, even though you do have a small following, Instagram is going to share your posts with as many people as they can, because they know that what you put out there brings joy to the people, and therefore they're more likely to stay on Instagram, which is what Instagram wants. So don't focus so much on like getting followers, but more, how do you produce great content that ultimately more people will eventually see and appreciate, but ultimately but it's better to build a smaller, robust following of people who are engaged with you and focus on the content than just try to get big numbers of a following. I know it feels really good to have a good following. I get this personally, but that shouldn't be the goal. Okay. And the other thing to keep in mind as we go through this is that your competitors on Instagram aren't your industry competitors. So let's say you're a home care industry, you're a home care company. Okay. It's actually not the other home care companies on Instagram that are really your competitors. It's actually all the other posts in the newsfeed that are your competitors. So when someone's on Instagram, they're typically scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Okay. So what do you do? What can you do to help make them stop scrolling and look at what you put out there? So that's what we're doing here. So whenever possible, here are some ideas. And by the way, these ideas work for all of your social media. Like I said before, I don't want you to treat Instagram as a little silo. Okay. So first of all, whenever you can, tell a story. So let's say you're doing something that's kind of behind the scenes. Let's say, I'm just trying to think of an example. Let's say you're getting ready to, you're a caterer. Okay. Let's just say it's something like that. Maybe it's the actual getting ready for the event, and cooking for the event that you're about to, supply, and deliver food for and serve food for. So it could be something like that. You may want to spotlight some of your customers and team members. You can always do that. That really adds a beautiful human touch. If you're working on a certain project, people love to see things as they're in progress. Testimonials are great. And by the way, as you build your list of testimonials for your business, one of the best pieces of advice I got on this many years ago, and I'm so glad I got it, was if someone says, oh, first of all, to ask for a testimonial, like, if a customer is just like, they're just raving about you, like, you're just so great. I love working with you. You're the best. That's when you ask for a testimonial. And if they say, oh, great. Yeah, I'm happy to write something for you. What do you want? That's usually what they'll ask. What do you want? And all you say is just share what your business or, how things were with you before you started working with me or started buying from me or did business with me, and how things have been after doing business with me. Okay. Because that's a story, the before and the after, and it can just be a few sentences. It doesn't have to be that much, but those testimonials are the strongest because it shows people that you help people get from point A to point B. And in case you're wondering, well, where's the story? Like, let's say you sell, you have a little mini, clothing, a women's clothing boutique. You're like, what story is there? Well, it could be, I've been in search for this, I've been in search for this dress for, the special event, and, and blah, 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 boutique, I found exactly what I wanted. And as a matter of fact, they even helped me find the perfect accessories. I couldn't have, asked for, more help and looking great for the event. And boy, did I get compliments on my dress. That's a story. So everything can be made into a story. So events you're attending or sponsoring, if you just got certified in something, announce that, and local events. Okay, so here are some things that can really humanize your brand, and not just on Instagram, but everywhere else, but are definitely good ideas. So I'm looking for my cursor here so I can move on. So this I'm just giving an example for a testimonial also. This is not a story, this one, but this I felt stood out on its own. So if you have like an individual quote, like it's just a single quote that was like, wow. And I was really happy when I got this one. So yeah, I held on to it and then turned it into a graphic. And you can use sites like, I think I have a slide about this. Let me go to the next one. Okay. So if you've ever heard of Canva, and actually I'm going to put this in chat because not everyone has heard of it. Okay, canva.com. Oh, sorry, that's just to the host and panelists. Just a second. Not everyone got that. Bear with me. Okay, so that website is kind of like a graphic design tool for non-graphic designers like me. So they, I find it great if you want to have like a background and you want to put the words above and stuff like that. And I use it more and more and more and more, and I love it. So, and I used it for this super simple graphic that I could have done obviously a better job with, but this is like in the beginning of my Canva journey. Okay. So if you have like a motivational quote or a quick tip or something like that, create a background graphic that you'll always use for your motivational quotes and your tips, and then put the word, and then just overlay the words. So yes, thank you, Robert, for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. All right. One thing I should also mention, just a second. I want to put one other thing in the chat for you. It's a free resource. Oh, I'm trying to like click and I can't click. Okay, there's a free. Let's see if it worked. Okay. This is my YouTube channel, and just like all of YouTube, like the videos are free. Okay, I have a library of slightly over 100 videos on different social media topics. There are a couple in Instagram ones. There's one all on like Instagram hashtags and all that. But I have a lot on Facebook, a lot on LinkedIn, a lot on social media, some on social media in general. Oh, Bernard also says Adobe Creative Cloud Express is great too. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you for that. Anyway, please feel free to check out that channel, and just, I make those videos for people to watch, and it's really to help you, because, we need all the resources we can get. So please feel free to check those out. Okay, so now how do you craft captivating captions? I don't know if I meant that alliteration or not, but okay. So the captions are basically the words that appear underneath your image or your video. Okay, so don't ignore this space. People will read it. Okay, people are probably going to notice your image. Actually, they will notice your image or your video first, but a lot of people are going to read that caption too if you've already gotten their attention. So use it really, really well. One thing I should also say is mind your grammar and spelling. I see a lot of us, where grammar and spelling isn't a priority, and it's okay if in general in life it isn't, but this is your marketing. Okay, this is like literally, this reflects on your brand. So take the time, and if proofreading isn't your forte because you have a lot of other fortes, that's okay. Okay, I'm good at proofreading, but I'm not good at a lot of other things. But then ask someone else to proofread them for you before it goes out. But you also want to be brief with your captions. Okay, only the first couple lines ish will show of your caption, and then there's like a ... more, and most people don't click on ... more. So you want to make sure that the most important information is in those first two lines. If they were to never click on ... more, never assume that people will do work to take in your information. Like, always try hard to deliver everything you can very briefly at one time. So you want to lead with the key information, and whenever possible, try to share like a problem solution when you can. I'm not always that great with it with with my captions, but I try. Try to put in a call to action if you can in those first two lines. The caption limit is 2,200 characters, but it doesn't mean you should use all of it. Okay, and use emojis when appropriate. For most brands, it does work. And yes, Grammarly is a fantastic tool to help with content editing. As a matter of fact, another tool I recommend, first of all, there's one of my YouTube videos that I put out, I'm going to say a couple months ago. It's like 7 free content creation tools. And I also mentioned Hemingway Editor, and that one isn't as much about grammar as it is about making sure your words are concise and to the point, and it even highlights where there are problems and why there are problems, and it's super, super good. It's a free tool, so feel free to check out that video too. But yes, Grammarly is awesome. My 14-year-old son loves Grammarly and uses it all the time for his writing. So Thank you. Oh, yes. So thank you, Bernard. Thank you for participating. So here's an example of a caption that I really liked a lot. And this is from the EOE Club. And so it says, thanks to everyone who came out to our hiking adventure today. Swipe for stunning views. Okay. So what you can't tell is like you were able to swipe. So it just, I thought it was super concise and told people what to do and fit in emojis. I would have made the image brighter, but we're not talking about images yet. We're going to get there. But I thought the caption was super good. I really like that one a lot. Okay, so hashtags. There are, wait, I have to get a drink of water, sorry. Okay. Hashtags. You can use up to 30 hashtags in a post. It doesn't necessarily mean you should use all of them. Now, there's been a lot of debate over the last several months in terms of how many hashtags you should use. Instagram several months ago, I think it was in September actually, came out with these new guidelines saying that they recommend only 5 hashtags. But a lot of businesses tried that. It didn't necessarily, they found that their views went down when they did that, or their reach went down. In other words, the number of people who saw the post went down. I think my opinion is that 20 to 30 hashtags is usually best for most businesses. You're welcome to experiment with different things. I'm just telling you from my experience, and most of the time what I've heard is that more hashtags are better, but you want to be super careful with them, which I'm going to talk about. So first of all, hashtags are obviously anything you have the hashtag and then a single word right after it, and they help make your content findable. Okay, so for example, like think of we've all heard of Google keywords, or in your website you want to make sure you put in keywords so your website shows up higher in rankings, that type of thing. Hashtags actually act the same way. They used to one way they're still used, but not as much, and what we're going to talk about a little bit is if you put a hashtag in a post, that post would end up being put in that hashtag bucket. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. In other words, all the other posts that have that hashtag, you'll be put in with that bucket. So if people are looking for, posts that have that hashtag in it because they want to search for information on a particular thing, then they can look for that and then see all the posts relevant to that. But I will tell you that more and more hashtags help Instagram index your content so they know what it's about. So that way they can deliver your post to the right news feeds. And the more relevant hashtags you use, the best. Now, the one thing that I used to get wrong, and a lot of people get wrong, is using overly popular hashtags or overly obscure hashtags. Okay, you want for 99.99999% of Instagram accounts out there, you want to use hashtags that are have already been associated with somewhere between 10,000 to 200,000 posts. In other words, if you were to click on that hashtag and see all of the hashtags in all the posts that have ever used that hashtag in the history of Instagram, it should be somewhere between 10,000 and 200,000, because that usually signals hashtags that are not insanely popular, like hashtag love has millions and millions of posts in it, and hashtag art and hashtag beauty and hashtag business. Okay, too general. Okay, the chances it's not going to help you. Too much competition. But if you work in the mid-range, you're more likely you're gonna have less competition, but it's still going to be relevant. And I see there is a question. Hello, what was the name of the writing tool? Not Grammarly, but the other one Brooke mentioned. Thank you. It's called Hemingway Editor. Think of Hemingway, like Ernest Hemingway, the longtime author, and editor, Hemingway Editor. So thank you for asking, Mark. I appreciate that. Okay, so here's an example of I like calling it a hashtag bucket. I don't think anyone else calls it that, but this is just what I call it. So this is for hashtag NetDE, and in Delaware, this is a very, very popular hashtag. So for posts that are about Delaware, usually by Delawareans, because if you're outside of Delaware, you might not know this exists. So there have been 170,000 posts that have hashtag NetDE in it. So again, but I will tell you that the more engagement your post has and the better it's set up, the more likely it is to appear at the top of the results. So do keep that in mind. So now when you're typing in hashtags, Instagram will automatically offer additional hashtag suggestions for you as you start typing one in. And just and by the way, there are two places that technically you could put your hashtags. It could be at the very end of your caption, like in other words, you write your normal English, caption of a couple sentences or whatever, have a few line breaks underneath, and then dump your hashtags at the end. Okay. Or you could put the hashtags in the comments. Instagram has announced that they no longer quote unquote see hashtags that are put in comments. They will only see hashtags that are put in the caption. And by the way, put a whole bunch of line breaks because no one else needs to see these hashtags, which look really, really messy. The only one who needs to see it is Instagram. So as long as they're somewhere on your caption, even if they're pushed all the way farther down outside of the normal eyesight of the normal people, looking at your posts, you're totally fine with that. And you'll see if you go on my posts on Instagram, I do these little tiny line breaks. So it says, how do I create an Instagram business account? And that is different from a personal account. So what you do, Linda, is you actually start off by creating a personal account, and then you'll see in settings, you'll be able to, just a second, I'll just tell you where you go. So create your account, but for the name, put the name of your business. So you have to kind of do it that way. So, and then when you're in your account, just a second, just trying to go there. On my phone, you go to there are 3 lines at the top, like a hamburger menu that you click on it. You click on it, and then I think you probably go to settings, most likely, and then you probably go to account, and then it's going to say something like switch account type, or it says switch to professional account. But you also want to make sure, so basically that's how you do it. I would also recommend that once you do that, you also connect your Instagram account. Once you switch it to a professional profile, connect it to your Facebook business page, assuming you have one. I have a couple of videos on that, and on how to do that. So feel free to do that. And so thank you, Linda, for asking that. Karen asks, where can you find stats on hashtag usage? What other standards that should be considered for optimizing Instagram usage? Okay, so, and the drink of water for that one, but it's a good question. Okay, so as you're typing in the hashtags, thank you for asking that, because actually I realized I didn't share that. When you start typing in a hashtag, like you're just trying to guess, like, okay, I think I want to do hashtag business tips or something like that. You start typing it in and it'll say what the popularity of it is. So the stats are right there. And it says what other standards should be considered for optimizing Instagram usage. Are you talking about, Karen, are you talking about for our hashtags? Are you talking about for Instagram? I'm assuming you're talking about hashtags. We're talking about optimizing your Instagram overall. It's the popularity piece is the most important part of it, really, and making sure that you're choosing ones that are relevant. You can also not only, there are 3 general categories that I like to do. There are the hashtags that are relevant to your industry, and then there are also hashtags that are relevant to the location that you serve. And so if you are a local business, this is super important, because there are people who are going to check out what's going on in, hashtag, Delaware County, hashtag Chester County, PA. Okay. So having those hashtags also helps, but you want to, just make sure you're using the right ones. And then also audience related hashtags. So what type of audience are you going for? And if there are hashtags relevant to that audience, that's really good too. I have, because for time purposes, so those are the most important things that I just shared right there. If you want even more details, I want to say it was like a 12-minute video just on hashtags. And it was a few months ago. maybe January-ish or so, you'll see it on my YouTube channel. I think it has a pinkish like thumbnail image, when you look through, a channel and you see all the different pictures of the different videos. I think that one's pink, but it'll say like I just changed my hashtag strategy on there. So that'll have even more details for you.
Brooke, it's Maria. There is
Yes.
a question in the chat box from Tracy. I don't know if you can see that one. It's
Oh, sorry.
also-
Yes. How about location? Thank you so much. Okay. Both hashtag Philly and hashtag Philadelphia are in the millions. Breaking it down to smaller neighborhoods with Philly wise, you try also hashtag Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, hashtag Philadelphia, PA. You could try that. Or you could do the neighborhood. So for example, like hashtag Kensington, hashtag Roxborough, hashtag Greater Northeast. By the way, I'm originally from Philly. So like, but try adding the state also, because like hashtag Philadelphia, there's also Philadelphia, Mississippi. I mean, obviously mostly everyone in Philadelphia is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but I'm just saying like, it's a very good idea to put the state at the end. And I think that's going to narrow it down for you too. So hopefully that helps. Thank you so much, Tracy. I appreciate that. Okay. So here's an example of hashtags that I put at the end of one of my posts. Mostly all of these are researched beforehand and all that. Now, you probably don't want to type 20 to 30 hashtags every single time you post. I'm assuming you don't want to do this. So let me share with you what you can do. So if you like to do all of your social media on your phone, so if you go, you can create keyboard shortcuts on your phone. So if you're on an Android, and by the way, every phone is different. Okay, I'm just giving you an idea of the path you want to take to get there. So if you're on an Android, you'll see you go to like settings and language and input, and then personal dictionary. For if you're using iOS, then it's settings, general, keyboard, text replacement. But the key is that like what you can do is, do you ever notice on your phone, if you type in on a text, if you, let's say you're writing a text message, okay, and you type in OMW, if you do that, what should automatically populate are the words "on my way." Okay, that's a keyboard shortcut. So what you can do is you can create keyboard shortcuts for groups of hashtags that you do. So for example, let's say you have one that is just for your locations. Okay, you can do so for example, like create a nonsense word that isn't a real word. So it because you don't want the hash. So it could be like tag Philly, like that's the name of your nonsense word. It's not a real word. Okay. But anytime you type in the word tag Philly, all of your Philadelphia area related hashtags that you've vetted out beforehand pop up. So you can do something like that. Another thing you can do is create keyboard shortcuts on your desktop. There's a program called Text Expander that I think costs like $45 a year, and I use it for everything. Where again, you create a little tiny shortcut word, and then anytime don't make it a real word, and anytime you type this nonsense word, all the text will appear. And I find it to be a huge time saver. Let's say people before COVID, when my clients would meet me at my office, and they constantly ask for directions, or I'd actually want to give directions because in parking and all that, I like had a little nonsense word, and then I type it into the email, and then all of the directions would pop up. But I could also do that with hashtags, and I store all the things that I tend to type over and over again in Text Expander. So, but you can also create a Microsoft Word, or if you just want to go the copy and paste route and don't want to deal with keyboard shortcuts on your phone, you don't want to deal with Text Expander, you could just create a Microsoft Word document where you, have everything listed there, and then you just kind of copy and paste. So you can do that. So this is an example of my Microsoft Word document where I have some social media hashtags and Delaware hashtags and Wilmington hashtags and networking hashtags as an example. Okay, but hashtags aren't the only tags. Oh, I see something in Q&A. Okay, can you put the hashtags in the notes on your phone? Yeah, I imagine you can. That would be another way to do it. Absolutely. So thank you, Jane. That's a really good point. So the key is just having them stored somewhere. And yes, does it take, a half hour, 20 minutes to half hour out of your life to like research these hashtags and then, type them in and then have them available? Yes, but once you have them, you have them. So yes, oh, sorry, I'm gonna drink some more here. Okay, so another tag that you want to pay a lot of attention to are geo tags. So right before you publish on Instagram, it's going to ask you like, where does this post come from? Okay. And it's typically wiser for the most part to choose the city and state of your location, not your businesses, not the actual name of your business, because if more people are going to look up, like for me, I'm based in Newark, Delaware. Okay. So more people are going to look up what's going on in Newark, Delaware than what's going on in, in Delaware shout out, if that makes sense. So I want to have exposure to new audiences. And the only way to do that is to be slightly more general. So don't put the name of your business. If you have a brick and mortar location, just put the city and state, and you'll see that. And it really helps a lot. Okay, let's talk about imagery. I'm super passionate about this. It's funny because I'm a writer like by trade and at heart, but I've learned a lot about imagery and I'm more passionate about this. So, okay. Actually, let me see. There is a question or something in chat. We only do internet sales. Should we still do city and state just to make us feel more personal? Yes. Thank you, Kay. That is a fantastic question. Yes, because it's more personal. It also makes you more transparent in a way, if that makes sense, for people just know where you're based. It's really good. Now, I have also heard of internet sales companies where, let's say they are targeting the Chicago area. They might for a while actually tag their posts in Chicago, Illinois, and then they'll move on to another region and then tag in another region. You could do it that way too, but I would definitely put, but as a default, I would put where you are. I know that this is not a LinkedIn seminar, but I know that for a fact, statistics show on LinkedIn that people who put their own little city, their own little city and state, even if they're not, I mean, technically I could put greater Philadelphia area, but believe it or not, it actually, how do I put it? It's been more favorable statistically to put your own city and state, because again, from a transparency standpoint. So thank you. You guys are asking awesome questions. I really appreciate this. The last thing I want to do is just talk to myself. So I like having this conversation. Thank you. Okay. So in terms of your imagery, always remember that people are looking at your imagery on a phone screen, and not all of this, just part of this. Okay. So you don't want, so first of all, you'd want to make sure your image is not dark or dull. Okay. You want to make sure that, you want to increase the brightness / exposure of it and saturation. And by the way, like every phone that I've ever seen has these, free photo editing tools built in right into the phone that you can make things brighter and make things more colorful. Adding saturation, by the way, essentially makes photos more colorful. So reds are redder and yellows are redder. Yellows are yellower and greens are greener. You know what I mean? Blues are bluer. So you want to just make the colors pop more. You also want to stay away from collages. I know a lot of times people like collages, like, yes, but I just made, let's say you are you're a potter, okay, and you just finished a collection of all these different pieces of pottery. It actually is better to show one piece than have a collage showing 5 of them, okay, because people will not remember the 5, but they'll remember the 1. The 1 will stick in people's brains a lot more. It's just a psychology thing. So, and also stay away from, and collages really don't do well on a mobile because everything is so small. Also, images with too much print don't work well, actually anywhere, but definitely not on a phone. So it's better to have like a simple bold image. And then if you want 1 or 2 words, that's totally fine, but not too much. Okay, so here's an example of a post that I saw on Instagram that, and I've, if you're looking at this on your desktop, it might look okay, but imagine looking at this on your phone. Like, can you really read this? Should you expect people to, like when you take your fingers and you kind of like expand them so you can stretch out the text? You can't expect people to do that. So this was about a taxpayer advocate service for people who have problems or just having tax problems and aren't able to resolve it with the IRS. So it would have been better just to have in the image, like, can't resolve a tax problem with the IRS, ? And then maybe you have someone who looks frustrated or, something like that, or, or it could be the image that they have at the top, and then have the details in the caption. Okay. Don't put it all in the image. Here's some really good images that I saw. Now, not all of us have a Ferrari on the left. I have a neighbor who has 2 Ferraris. I don't know how they were able to afford that, but anyway, so I'm not saying you can only have a Ferrari to have a good image, or a super cute puppy. The one on the far right, I think, is the most realistic. Like, here you are enjoying, a drink or two, and it looks really dynamic and it's really cool. But you see, they're striking. They're simple and they're striking, and that's what you always that's what you want to aim for every time. And you see there's a lot of color, especially with the first 2, but even the one on the right, it pops in its own way. Here's another example of something. On the left hand side is an image that I saw from an event planner on their Instagram page. So then I took out the photo, I edited it, and all I did was I just increased the brightness and the saturation, remember, to make things more colorful. And that's what it looks like. So that the image on the right would have popped a whole lot more. So remember, especially if what you do deals with a lot of visuals, always be mindful of that. Also, make sure your images are square in nature, and that the key part of your image fits in the square, because even though when people are looking on the news feed, like, the image, they'll see your whole image, okay, but not if they're visiting your page. So on the left-hand side, you'll see when I was lazy and I didn't fit things together and it looked horrible. And on the right-hand side is when I was like, you know what, I'm always teaching my clients to fit things in a square, and I really should follow my own advice and set an example. So I started doing it too. So by the way, I'm the social media trainer who will admit, I'm real. So anyways, on the right hand side, this is when I finally started taking my own advice, and it looks a whole lot better. So let's see. Stephanie says, I've heard that Instagram is moving away from static images and will be turning everything into video format like TikTok. Have you heard of this? Do you have tips for moving more towards video content? I have not heard that, but it doesn't mean that it's, but I can totally see how that's happening. Like on the back end, I've seen this because they're offering to take images and turn them into video, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, we are going to be talking about video content, by the way. So I will tell you, if in the case that Instagram totally doesn't allow any static images whatsoever, what I'm sharing right now will apply to all the rest of your social media. I can't imagine that they would get away from all of it. It could be more that they'll continue to favor video over other types. The thing that I find though is, and this is that video isn't always possible for every single busy business owner out there. It just isn't. I think video is incredibly helpful. I mean, I run my own YouTube channel, so I'm a big believer in video, but it's not realistic for everyone. So it would be really nice to at least have that option for images. And if you're going to do images, to understand the best practices for it. So thank you for asking that. So let's see. And then Bernard says, on Adobe Creative, you can make a static post and animate it. Oh, by the way, yes. And on Canva, you could, for example, take a bunch of, actually not the same way. I mean, I do animate things on Canva. Like you could take individual elements and animate them. Mark asks, as a photographer, how to protect my intellectual property from being downloaded, edited, and reused without my permission, like you did with the planner image. So what you can do is you can have a little slight watermark, a very subtle watermark on your, like where it's like, maybe it's your logo in white, but with some transparency somewhere, like the bottom corner of one of those things. So I will tell you that there's no way to stop it. but it is automatically assumed that once you publish something, it is copyrighted. That you don't have to go through any extra process with it. So anyway, that's, so I mean, just because something's on the internet does not mean it is something that you should be able to take. So thank you. I'm glad that helped. Thank you. You guys are so good. Okay, and then Q&A. Jane says, somehow I have 3 of the same boring flyer posted on my Instagram. I'd like to delete at least 2, if not all 3. Will I hurt my Instagram in any way? No. As a matter of fact, it'll help you. Because you don't want someone visiting your page and seeing that. I mean, really, Instagram is very much in the moment. So like, just delete the 2 that had the fewest responses. That's what I would do. Thank you. Okay. So, what do you know? The next slide is about video. That works out well. Okay, so video does typically get the most engagement, but you have to allow yourself a breather. If you can't always do video, it's okay. All right. There are different types of video. You have video posts, which are, like they appear in the normal news feed, and they're typically, like 3 seconds to 10 minutes. You have story videos, which like those are those stories that appear at the very top. The circles are the very, very top when you first log into Instagram, and those can be up to 15 seconds. You have reels, those are the vertical format videos, very TikTok-y, if that's a word, up to 60 seconds, and then Instagram Live up to 4 hours. We're focusing today, again, this is an Instagram fundamentals webinar, so we're just focusing on the regular video posts. But again, the concepts I'm going to share with you can apply to any type of video format. We're doing the basics here. So the idea, the content ideas that I gave you before can always be transformed into video. And videos can also be really good. Like, let's say you have, like, you want to share a really quick tutorial or a quick tip or an aha thing. It can be really great for that. The key is to be yourself. I just can't emphasize that enough. Being in front of the camera can be really scary, especially when you're like looking at your phone camera or something like that. You're looking at it, or you're in selfie mode. It doesn't really matter, and it just like the little fisheye of the camera, and it feels really unnatural, and it takes some practice getting used to it. But that's natural. So, but just be yourself. One thing you can always do is pretend that little fisheye of the camera is your favorite customer. Like, think of who your favorite customer is, or or if you're just starting your business right now, like, who would be your ideal customer? Like, think of the people that you know in your life. One of them probably would be a perfect customer for you. Imagine you're talking to that person, and all of a sudden you're just going to be a whole lot more natural. So I recommend that. What I also recommend is burning in captions. Okay. And there are different ways to do this. I know that there is some captioning capability on Instagram, but what I really like, there's a company called rev.com, and it's really, really inexpensive. I think it's like $1.25 or $1.50 per minute of video. They will actually create the captions and then also put the captions like in your video for you, like they're in the video. And the reason that's important, the captions are insanely important, is because more than 80% of people watch videos on social media with the sound off. So if you're just a talking head and they just see your mouth moving, unless they can read lips, they're not going to follow. They're just going to scroll past that and move to the next thing. But there are many times that I've like been on social media and I'm scrolling, and then I start seeing the words appear underneath someone, and I'm like, and I find myself, I'm starting to read it, and I'm staying there. And that's what you want people to do. You want people to stay there. So they need to be able to understand the words. If it isn't completely apparent from the imagery. I will also say, actually, before, there's one bullet point I don't have in here that I really should mention here, and that is get to the point as quickly as humanly possible. So, for example, let's say you're doing some quick tips or something like that, and you're outside, and you're outside of the park, okay, doing some, and because that's the setting you want to use. Don't say, hey, here I am here on a Tuesday. It's so beautiful outside to hear the birds twerp, cheating. tweeting or chirping. That's what I tried to say. Sorry. The birds are chirping and, blah, 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 blah. And hey, my name is so-and-so. And let me tell you for 60 seconds all about me. Okay, no, don't do that. What you want to do is get straight to the point. And at the end, share who you are, or in the middle, share who you are. Like there's a video I'm creating right now. It's not for Instagram, it's for YouTube. I don't introduce myself till 12 minutes in, because I figure if someone has dropped off before then, they really, they didn't want to see me anyway, so, where people drop off is usually in the first 30 seconds. So your first 30 seconds should deliver the thing that would keep them watching. And what's not going to keep them watching is general commentary or commercial about yourself so much, but more just like something that shares a lot of value. Okay, I see a lot in the chat here. Okay, 10 minutes. Yes, so did I say 10 minutes? When did I say 10 minutes? Okay.
I think the question was about whether we were finishing at 11 o'clock today.
Oh, okay, got it.
We're going
okay.
to 11:30 and
okay, got it. Okay.
Gotcha. Need it.
Sorry, I'm like in presentation mode, so I'm
okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Maria. Okay.
Oh, here, Robert's clarifying his statement.
The video length, 10 minutes. Yes, I have, yes. Well, here's my, now I will tell you on Instagram, the behaviors are, and the behaviors are a little bit, would expect shorter videos. It depends on the platform you're on. On YouTube, I'm sure all of us have watched videos that are 20 minutes, 30 minutes long. We have, okay, but we kind of go in there with that mindset. On Instagram, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is to like just get to the point as quickly as possible, but introduce yourself later. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is delivering the value. And if people really appreciate it, they'll be very happy to hear who you are at the very end. It's not very long. It really isn't. I promise you. And I have a YouTube seminar with SCORE in October. So feel free to join me on that. But no, it's it's not long. It's not long. So basically the rule for, thank you. Okay. So the rule of thumb with video, and this is for all videos, okay, is how long should a video be? It should be as long as it needs to take, but as short as possible. In other words, as long as it takes to deliver the content you want to deliver, and that needs to be delivered to do it justice, to provide value, but get to the point as quickly as you can. So, and I have videos that are significantly shorter than that too. And I've also, I've done ones that are, like less than a minute. Okay. Cause that's all I needed. And there's some I need a lot more time. And, so every topic is going to be different. You don't want to skimp on something where you're just providing this like it's like, you have to skip so much information that it just ends up being so general that it's blah. You want to make sure that whatever you do, whether it's for inspirational purposes or educational purposes or entertainment purposes, that has like meat to it. That's how you provide value. So it's inspiration, education, or entertainment. And your all of your videos should cover one of those three categories. And sometimes there's going to be an overlap. So like, for example, it could be edutainment, it could be both of them, but it should deliver something, and you want to make sure your content does that. Okay. So how do you, and then we're getting towards the end here. So we actually, even though we're going to 11:30, we might be able to even end sooner than 11:30 or have even more time for questions. So how do we integrate Instagram into the social media mix? So first of all, I recommend that you post the same images and video on Instagram as you do on your other sites. Okay. And I'll explain this because I know you've probably heard something different, and I just want to explain this. But what you're going to do is add hashtags at the end for your Instagram posts, but don't do it for the other ones. Hashtags, by the way, hurt on Facebook. I know a lot of people will post on Instagram and then automatically have the post go to Facebook. when you do it there are so many ways that you can post on multiple sites at one time, but if you do it that way and the hashtags end up on Facebook, it actually hurts Facebook engagement. Studies have shown it over and over again. So it's actually better if you have, let's say if your 2 pages that you have in your social media mix are Facebook and Instagram, through Facebook, you can actually, as a matter of fact, I have instructions at the bottom of the screen. You can actually post from Facebook to Instagram at the same time, but customize the posts so that your Facebook posts look like Facebook posts and your Instagram posts look like Instagram posts. But statistically speaking, hashtags don't work on Facebook for a million different reasons. Facebook doesn't use hashtags to categorize posts. People are not on Facebook to search for hashtag beauty or hashtag business tips. They're there to see what their second cousin once removed is doing. So a whole bunch of reasons for that. But otherwise, you're using the same content. So I'm a big believer in repurposing the same content for all your social media sites, but making sure that it's optimized for that site. So for example, let's say if you happen to be on Twitter, make sure that same type of, you do the same post, but you write the caption like a tweet, okay? Because tweets look a little bit different. I also recommend using the same square images for all sites because it'll work for Instagram, because Instagram is fickle and that seems to set the standard for everything else. I also recommend using third-party tools like there's buffer.com and hootsuite.com, where let's say you're on more than just Facebook and Instagram, but you also have LinkedIn or you also have Twitter or something like that, and you want to post to all of them. Third-party sites like Buffer and Hootsuite will allow you to do that. I will tell you that when you post from those sites, your posts tend to be delivered to fewer people because, I don't know, Instagram doesn't like it, Facebook doesn't like it when you do that. But I will tell you that you'll end up posting more consistently when you use a tool like that. And in the end, you'll have more posts go out more consistently. And in the end, you'll have greater reach. So I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of reach per post to ensure that I'm consistent and always look like I'm alive and breathing and out there on social media. Okay, so, and this was an example if you're on Facebook with the instructions I gave you. And by the way, just recently the screen changed again, like really recently, but it looks very similar to this, where you'll see on the left-hand side. And this is a screenshot from Facebook where you can say, okay, I want this post to go on Facebook and Instagram on the top left corner. I want to write the text. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see near the top of the right, you can see where you can customize your Facebook post. You can click on the Facebook button for it to go to customize Facebook, and then click on the Instagram one. So it's pretty cool. Okay, and then the most important thing is just to have fun with this, because you're always going to be experimenting with different things with all of social media. And this is a sad thing to say, but also a good thing to say. When you put a post out there, typically not too many people see it usually, especially in the beginning. So if you make a mistake here or there, and I make mistakes too, it's okay. Use this as an opportunity to learn. If there are any other questions you have, or if you want to share a big lesson that you learned that you plan to apply right away, please feel free to share that too. My contact information is here, and then also it'll be, when you get the recording, you'll see that as well. I know that there's still a couple other score slides left, but as Maria, do you want to I may have answered all the questions, actually.
I think we've covered everything that was in the boxes, but if anybody has a burning question, we still have time to take it.
Here we go. Let's see. Thanks so much. I've seen some videos with a common voice embedded in the videos along with captions. Yes, that's another, that's another way to, with another way to do it. There's so many ways to handle that. Is that a paid service? Well, I know Rev, I've never done the common voice thing, but I imagine it's a paid service, but it can't be, I imagined it as a paid service. The captions are Rev is a paid service, but it's like super, super cheap. It's practically, to me, it's practically free. Do posting times really matter? They matter. And by the way, to answer Bernard's question first, sorry, before we get to Stephanie. Yes, you're welcome, Bernard. And So do you want to answer Bernard's question, Maria?
Sure.
About the presentation?
Right now, I mean, we were planning to send the recorded webinar, which includes all of the slides that you've seen through the whole program. If you need more than that, just let me know in the chat box, because we can send a PDF version of the slides if that's needed.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Cool.
Very
Excellent.
good. Thank you.
And then, thank you. And then Stephanie asked, do posting times really matter? They matter a bit, but not as much as people think. I mean, I wouldn't, unless you are selling a product that cures insomnia, I wouldn't put a post out at 3 a.m, you know. But what I find is this, like, people say, oh, you know, the optimal time, you know, is, you know, even if like Instagram says or Facebook says, well, the optimal time is 3 o'clock on a Thursday for this particular post, it doesn't mean that the other times are horrible. It just means they're slightly not as good. Okay. So what I like to do when I am, because I write all of, okay, 3/4 of my posts well in advance, up to a month in advance. Okay. Because it's a time-saving thing. It's a sanity thing. I write everything in advance. It's all like scheduled in advance. And it helps me ensure that I can live the rest of my life. But I just schedule for, like, you know, this post will be in the morning, this will be the afternoon, this will be in the early evening. And then I just kind of cycle through that. So that way I am hitting morning and afternoon and evening people. And I post all throughout the week. Even though there is slightly less traffic on Saturdays and Sundays, there's not that much less traffic on it. And there's also a lot less competition on Saturdays and Sundays, because so many businesses don't want to post at all on Saturdays or Sundays. So I might as well be the one to do it. So take advantage of the fact that there's a little less competition. I would seek more variety of posting times than go for the time that everyone is seeing as the optimal time. So yes, it is a communication plan. Absolutely. Everything has it when you plan things out, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So, and you're welcome.
Brooke,
Okay.
there are 2 questions in the Q&A
yes.
box.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, how do you ask people to follow you? Wow, that's okay. That is a fantastic question. Okay. So there are different ways you can do that. One of them is if you're already on other social media, like let's say you're on Facebook, you could have a Facebook post that actually encourages people to follow you on Instagram. You could have in your email, like in your normal email that you do, like your business email, you could in your email signature have, you know, like follow me on Instagram, you know, and it's like a, you know, make it a hyperlink kind of thing. You could do it there. If you have a website, you could have, you know, make sure you have your social media icons there too. One of the best, and also following, I would also follow other business accounts. Even if you're not serving other businesses, behind every business account is a human being who is managing that account. And some of those people will follow you back. So that's another way. But really delivering fantastic content. And I will tell you, the more video you do, the more exposure you are going to get. But I would focus, if you focus on the content, the followers will come. They really, really will. And the right followers will come. Are ads the best? And then Jane also asked, are ads the best way? Are more followers better? Can it be from all types of businesses? Ads can be really, really good. If you're going to do, ads on Instagram, I recommend doing them through Facebook's, well, it's the Meta Business Suite, you know, platform, which covers both Facebook and Instagram. I recommend creating your ads through that. Don't worry about the number of followers so much. The only thing that really affects the number of followers is, like, let's say you want to be at the top of the Explore page, you know, like, you know, you're more likely to get that if you have hundreds of thousands of followers, and obviously a lot of people are going to be, you know, engaging with your posts, so numerically it looks a bit better. But I would recommend investing in ads for your most important content, but don't do it for all of it. I do have a video. It's about Facebook, but it would apply to Instagram. It's one of my older ones, so if you go on my channel, just search for it in the search bar and when you're on my channel, and it's about Facebook ads, and it's about how to budget for them. But that can also help you. The information would still apply for Instagram too. So check that out too. Okay. And there's one more in chat, and And you're very welcome, Tracy. And thank you to everyone who said thank you. All right, shall we go to the score slide now?
Sure. Let's
Okay.
start to wrap it up here. So, well, Brooke, thank you so much. You gave us a lot to think about and excellent practical examples. As mentioned earlier, you will all receive the recorded webinar following today's session. It usually takes us about several hours or until tomorrow to process it. So look for it in your email from SCORE. And if you already have a SCORE mentor, you might want to schedule a session with him or her to talk about the next steps on your business plan, your marketing communication plan, or any other challenges you have on this topic or other business topics. Please reach out to your SCORE mentor for support. You are not alone in this process, managing a small business. If you aren't already working with a SCORE mentor, you can request one by going to our website link here that you see in blue, or by calling the phone number and speaking with Catherine Weissenberger, our office manager. This information will also be included in the follow-up email from SCORE. And note that SCORE is, the SCORE mentors are now conducting mentoring sessions face-to-face if clients are interested, able, and have the time to meet in person, but we always are available on video, by phone, by email, all that good stuff. Okay, next slide, and then we're going to stop the recording here. And